Hey guys, I'm going to be doing a review today. This was requested by Mason Owens. This is going to be of the Komatsu PC490 LC. This model is made in 1/50th scale by Universal Hobbies. I'm a little bit stuffed up, so sorry about that. Bear with me. I got this model, bought it for Christmas. So far, I'm very pleased with it. There's a few cons, but primarily all pros. Universal Hobbies definitely has a reputation of being extremely highly detailed. Use of metal is pretty minimal, other than like the main, big cast pieces. Which I don't mind the plastic because the way Universal Hobbies does it, it's kind of incredible. The amount of detail that they add for the littlest, use of just something. It's crazy how good and highly detailed these models are. I think I got this one for about 117. I think it retails for. I think I got it something like that. I got it off of 3,000 Toys. So far, I really am pleased with it. After having it for now a little over a month, I'm happy with it. Basic things. The movement on the models very good. As realistic as it really can get. The cool feature is the quick coupler, which actually does work if you want. There's screws, so you have to unscrew them. If you have a tiny screwdriver, you take the screws out, and you can, I'm thinking about making a couple attachments for it. Also, I have a hammer that I bought quite a few years ago off of eBay, and it fits on it perfectly and whatnot. And all the hydraulic hookups on the stick work with it also. So really nice like that. But I'll get into it. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the cons on the model, something that I don't like, which is the tracks. Not because they're plastic, because I've had, the Cat 375 has plastic tracks, and they're not like rubber, like they're casted plastic. And the issue here is they don't roll at all. I can't get them to move. They are just stuck, and I don't want to break them because they are plastic, and I'm afraid that they will. They're tensioned, which is weird. And I think that I think if I loosen the tensioner, that they would roll, but I'm not sure. I think they're kind of stuck and stiff in the position that they are, the way they link them together, because they're actually like, if it'll focus, you really can't see, but they're actually like hook type links together. So they're actually held together by these little. I guess you could take them apart, but they're all plastic, and they're very little tiny plastic. And I really wouldn't want to jeopardize breaking them off, because fixing these would be a lot more difficult than metal tracks. So that is the pretty much one and only con, bad part of the model, I would say, are the tracks. Now, I don't know if it's just on this one, but, I haven't seen anybody else with this model. I really haven't looked it up, so I'm not too sure. But if you have the model and your tracks roll, I don't know. Congrats, I guess, on it. I don't really, it doesn't really bother me too much, because it looks good. They look really good. They're triple browser pads. They're everything looks great on the model. So, for display, there's no issue there. And even moving it around, you just don't roll the tracks, which is not a big deal to me. It would have been cool if they were metal. I don't really know why they did plastic, but they're pretty much identical size tracks. The actual track frame's a little bit longer on this one, but they're almost identical to like the Komatsu PC490 made by First Gear, which I'm pretty sure First Gear and Universal Hobbies, I don't know, I think one or the other makes the Excavator models. Even though First Gear has more metal, they literally almost come out identical, and I don't think that's just because they're Komatsu. But I'm not too sure. If anybody knows more on that, let me know in the comments. But other than that, that's the only issue I have. The tracks don't roll. They're tensioned, so, I might play with the tensioner one day and just loosen it completely, and they might roll. But for now, it really doesn't bother me, and they look really nice, and there's no, they don't hang or anything. So they're nice. They really are, and as long as you're gentle with the model, they shouldn't break or anything. Really happy that somebody finally made a larger Komatsu model, because it literally went from, like, the biggest one was the 300 series, the 300 and then the 360, and now I think the 370 is out, or the the 390 maybe. I'm not really too sure what the new first gear one is. And then it kind of just, there was nothing else bigger for Komatsu, and then it just jumped to like the 1100. But the 1100 hasn't been made in quite a few years, so. So it's nice to see a company coming out with a larger Komatsu model, because I'm a fan of Komatsu. They really are some decent machines, and the models have always been pretty good. The 1100 is probably one of my favorite models I have. It's an awesome model, a lot to do with it, and I've done a lot to it custom-wise, and I have videos of that up. So if you want to check that out, just search that on my channel, and you'll find a ton of custom videos I've done for it, or custom things I've done with it and whatnot. But to jump into this review, decals, all that are crisp. You know, when I said earlier that the model was primarily plastic, yeah, that's true. The cab is plastic, but the body of it is metal. This top piece is plastic. The actual engine compartment is all plastic. The top deck on it is plastic. So pretty much just the outer cast of the body. The bottom is this whole piece here, where my finger is right now. That's all metal. The boom is metal, and the stick is also metal. And the bucket. Track frames, I think, are actually plastic. Yeah, the entire undercarriage is plastic. So there is minimal metal on the model, but for it having such little metal, it isn't, it's actually a decently, there's some weight to the model, and on top of that, it also just, like I said, the detail level's outrageous. So I do like the new kind of, not sure what to call them, but the new Komatsu cabs for the excavators. It looks very cool compared to the 360 I have. Coming around, well, I'll start on the cab, I guess. So detail level on the cab is just crazy. You have the work lights on top, which is awesome. I always love to see that from a manufacturer. You have the warning beacon on top also. Inside the cab, you have your little, kill switch for the controls, or run switch. I'm not sure exactly what it's called. I know what it does. Windshield wiper here and here. It'd be cool if the door opened, but again, it's a lot to go for a model that isn't so outrageous, like from CCM or WSI. But CCM, I think, is like one of the few that actually have opening doors. And what is it, TCM, which is the one I think that made the Hitachi 470. They have an open cab door too, so that's kind of cool. But I keep straining or running away from this review. To get into more of this, so the cab is gorgeous. Detail level is awesome. On the seat, it actually does have a printed Komatsu logo decal, but it's so small, it's kind of fuzzy. So, but it's still cool that it's there. Coming around the tracks, there's warning labels all over the tracks. Where your lift points are and whatnot, or tie downs. You have the roller simulated. I mean, they're really, really good looking, like I said. So for a detail level type of shelf model, it's awesome. And not saying that it's not usable, but I would be careful with it if you did purchase it. Coming around, all the handrails are plastic. You have work lights pretty much all over the model. Back of the cab, we have a work light here. On the back of the counterweight, another beacon light. I like the big kind of grill on it for the top of the engine compartment. That looks really cool. You do have a backup camera. Really nice big Komatsu decal on the back. A couple warning labels. Up on top, it's kind of etched in, but it's not completely etched through on the engine compartment here. If I can get it to focus. So, a couple other warning labels all over pretty much. Right there you see the swing motor. The only thing I don't like too, detail-wise, is that the hydraulic lines running up the back of the boom are like one solid plastic piece instead of individual pieces, which is kind of weird for WSI, or not WSI, Universal Hobbies. Especially the level of detail on this model, I just figured that those would be more individual, but it still looks pretty decent, but just it's kind of muffled together. But all the hydraulic hoses, lines, everything is just, there's quite a bit on the model. Top deck, like I said, is plastic, but it's kind of painted and has like the catwalk like diamond plating type of material. The back of the model is very nice. The tracks do suit it. It looks like the body is a little bit big for the tracks, but they do come out the sides a little bit more, so I think it does fit it pretty proportioned. Pretty good. Coming around to this side, again, you have a big side. They're etched in. You can hear that. But they're not completely etched through, so there's no, interior detail or internal detail on the motor. But you have the handle to open your door and whatnot. Details, again, are very, very crisp. You have mirrors all over. Like, it literally is the real machine. It's just in the model form, like I said. It looks really great. It really does. Around to the front, there's a work light down here, which I'm pretty sure you saw in the other shots. The walkways, the steps, this one actually is completely etched through, which is cool. If you look on this side, you do have like the handles, or the latches. You have handles and latches to lift up all the engine compartments. Going up the boom, on this side you have the work light on the boom, and all the hydraulic lines just running pretty much all over it. Then you have your hydraulic for an auxiliary attachment, hammer, whatnot. You have the quick coupler. I'm pretty sure the bucket is identical to the one that was on the 400 Komatsu that Universal Hobbies made, but pretty decent size also. You also have a piece on there would be for tying it onto a lowboy. And now I'll show you exactly, with the movement on the model. So height goes up all the way, pretty much fully realistically, as far as it would go up on the real machine. How I look at it is if the boom cylinders are at a 90-degree angle, then it's as accurate as it gets. If it's a little less or a little more, it looks weird. So at a 90-degree angle, I would say that that's pretty accurate to the real machine. Digging depth, got right there. So not too bad. Pretty much uses the entire range of the cylinder. Then we have the stick, goes all the way out, like so. And then also comes all the way in. This is the only other problem that I found with the model, is if you pull it all the way in like that, it kind of does that and it starts coming out of the cylinder on top. So I usually stop it right where it kind of like jolts a little bit, which is right there, and which is just as realistic as the real machine would be, I would believe. The bucket curls all the way in like so. So for transport, it would look really, really nice too. Now I believe this size machine is about a 40-50 ton machine. Pretty sure they'd haul it with the counterweight off and the bucket off for weight, but I guess it kind of depends where you are. Now the cylinders, the boom cylinder kind of does leak down a little bit. If it's all the way up, it'll hold it. The stick cylinder kind of holds it in any position. So it's not bad. If you wanted to do a stop motion with it, you'd have to stiffen up the boom cylinders. But with this model, I'd be careful just because the plastic is really so delicate. And then the bucket curls all the way out like so. Final thoughts on the model though. Coming around, I really didn't show you the bucket, I guess. With that, it's a 6-tooth bucket, so it's a smaller mass excavation bucket. It looks good. I like the look of the bucket, and if you have the Volvo EC480E, the bucket size is just about identical to that. Or if you have the old 400 Komatsu, it's the same size. I would believe it looks identical to the old one, so I would think it's the same. So overall thoughts on the model, really 100% recommended if you're into it for detail. If you buy them and you stick them on a shelf to look good, buy it. It's worth the cash. I think more around 100 would be good, but for the extra $15, it's really not that bad. If you're going to buy it to use it, in stop motions and whatnot, make sure as you're moving the model around, you're careful how you grab it, how you, dig with it more or less, I'd be careful because there's just so many little pieces between antennas, warning, the beacons on top, the lights, just every little thing. All these little hydraulic lines are just, you could see the glue in them where they glue to, and I'm so nervous to hit one because I don't want it to pop out. Just to glue it back in, I think would be a real pain in the ass. So I try to avoid doing much with the model. But it would look great on a diorama if you placed it some way. But to use it, I mean, I'd be careful with it. Me myself personally, I'm pretty much careful with every model I have, no matter if it's the low detail one or something like this or CCM or whatever. As long as you're careful with it, it's not going to break. But if you're going to spend almost $118 on a model, you're going to want to take care of it, and this is one you'd have to take care of if you're going to use it. But like I said, if you're going to stick it on a shelf, it's probably one of the best ones to buy because it looks so nice and crisp, and it's just the paint job's awesome on it. Which is also is personally, which I don't think I mentioned earlier, which is really cool, is that a lot of companies seem to have trouble matching the plastic color to the metal color, more or less. So like Komatsu yellow or cat yellow, if you have a cat yellow, on say a Norskott model that the body's painted yellow like it would be, the cab on the machine might be painted yellow too, but the yellow you can tell the difference because it's plastic versus the metal, the material that's getting painted. On this one, they seem to have matched it, like you can see on the cab, pretty much identical. If you're looking at it like this, as I'm watching it in the camera on the screen, it looks identical. In person, you can tell it's plastic just kind of looking at it, but not easily. So otherwise, that's it, and really quick, because I know this one's ran now, it's like 17 minutes. Here is the PC360. The undercarriage, I'm almost positive, is just about the same size, minus the actual frames of the tracks are just a touch different. So those are them together. The boom is bigger on the 490. Obviously, it's a bigger machine, but they're not too different in size. But they look good side by side. So otherwise, but if you're looking into getting a pretty decent excavator model, one of the newer ones, I'd say go for this one. Detail level, it's up there. 10 out of 10. Fragileness, it's 10 out of 10. 10 being the most fragile. I would say it's up at around 10 too. Really, it's an awesome model though. So I personally highly recommend it to anyone, serious collector that has the cash to go out and buy one, but is also delicate with them in the same time if you're using it in a diorama or whatnot. Thanks for watching, and sorry for the length of the video. Next video, which is also requested by Mason Owens, is going to be the review of the Liebherr LR1300 from me. There's a few of them out there, but I don't mind doing one, so that should be next. And a collection update also. Thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.